Come, let us enter this space of hope and community. Come, let us enter this space with our sorrows, our joys, our passion and compassion. Come, let us enter this space with the stories of our ancestors, for their strength and wisdom beats in our hearts. Come into this space, present to the beloved companions who move beside us. Come into this space, mindful that together we are building a future for other generations. Come into this space, and let us give thanks. Oh, I'm seeing some young ones. I'm seeing some folks who are really excited to come forward. Oh, so we have a very special day happening right now. You might have heard it. I said the big word, memorial. Memorial services are where we remember people. Sometimes in our communities, at UU communities, we call them celebrations of life. We say celebrate love in our mission statement, and that's what we're doing today. So, Adrienne, this table before us, is this an altar?
It doesn't look like an altar right now, does it?
No, it needs some alterations.
I believe there might be some things in our wonder box.
Let's open it up.
Judson, you want to come over here and help me? We're going to bring it down, and then you guys are going to help us transform it into an altar. Do you think you have transformation power?
So what's going to happen is, as they open the wonder box, I'm going to give a little cute play-by-play. So this is just a table. But when we work together, we can turn it into an altar. And an altar might have different emotional feelings, or negative, positive. But really, across cultures and in lots of different religious traditions, there are spaces where we put nice things like maybe a tablecloth or candles or things like that. And that helps us to set it apart. We're kind of setting it apart from any other table in your house. So as the kids sort of set this table, we are trying to make it a little more special, because some of you brought pictures. I saw some pictures that were brought on the outside. Some of you may be saying, oh, another year, I forgot my picture. Well, last Sunday in October, next year, put it in your calendar. But we also have a lot of things that we're going to put on here to allow you a chance to participate in this setting a table or a place for memory and love. So let's see. We have a nice tablecloth. You guys are doing great. What do you have there? Oh, candles. Oh, so these candles can be lit if you forgot something and you'd like to light one. So we can just set them out without them turned on just right now. And so when people come forward in a little while, if you forgot something and you'd like to turn on a candle in memory, you can just turn it on right from the bottom. We got some other things too. What do we have? You have, leaves. Oh, leaves are really great. So we have some leaves. So if you want to help decorate the table, you can set out a leaf, and we'll save some for others. We have flowers. Oh, those are nice. And stones. Those are nice too. You can, in a lot of different traditions, placing a stone on a grave or at someone's house even can be a nice way to say, I'm remembering them. So, oh my gosh, this is looking so beautiful. We also have some pictures that Judson has here. These are some pictures that people have brought in, and so we'll set those out. You want to go put that one up? Oh my gosh. See, now everyone wishes they were children and came forward. You're sitting in the back. You're feeling a little left out. So in a moment, after we set this table, this place of memory and hope, we're going to have an opportunity to come forward and to see this and to participate. You might turn on a candle. You might place a leaf. If you did bring a picture and you didn't put it up out there, you can put your picture up here now. Notice we've dialed back the amount of flames on this table. That has been important as well. So this table is no longer just a table. It's a place for memory and hope. It is an altar for our loved ones, our friends, our family, and some congregants here in the congregation who have died. So we do have one very special candle here, and I can talk about that in a second as well. Oh my gosh. That's great. Do you want to put that up there? So we always have at least one candle like the one Judson's working on, and we can grab one of those right here. And that's for, and now our young helpers, if you want to sit, the four of you, right in this first row, right here, just while I'm talking this next part. You did such a good job. Junior choir and what are these called? Acolytes? No, helpers. Thank you so much. So we always set a little time aside when we set our table for any members in the congregation who've died in the past year. And so this past year, to the best of my, memory, we have just lost one member of the congregation, which is a really lucky gift that it was only one, because every one that we lose is a really big sadness. But this year, we're remembering Larry Williams. Some of you knew Larry, and some of you maybe never got a chance to meet Larry. But the thing that I like to do when we have the Memorial Sunday is to give a chance for words that described Larry to kind of fill this room with love for him and memory for him. So even if you didn't know him, you feel a little bit like, oh, Larry. So what I'm going to do in a second, I'm going to move my hand like this. This is special. I learned this in seminary. So you guys taught me this actually, just being here. I'm going to put my hand up, and as I go like this, as I pass sort of roughly your area, if you have a word or a memory, or a value or a feeling that reminds you of Larry, you can just say it out loud, and I'll just keep going like this, okay? So this is this is to remember Larry Williams, and it's okay if you say something on top of each other, okay? It's just you just pause, say it again, okay? So here we go.
Share feelings in quiet humor, gentle spirit, curious, a caring person, thoughtful, happy to see, Jesus strict, optimistic.
And so we hold Larry and all the members and friends of this congregation, your family members, our world, and all those who might be grieving or in a good place right now thinking about the loved ones in our lives. And what's going to happen is Louise is going to play a little bit of our centering hymn underneath this time of coming up and actually getting a chance to see some of these faces, flick a candle if you wish, or lay a leaf or a stone as we take a moment to appreciate this place of memory and love that we have set with our young helpers, all right? So please come forward. We'll come for the middle and go out the sides. What a beautiful place you have set. So we're gonna hold these lights on and hold these memories, and we're gonna sing our children and youth off to their classes, if you'll sing with me. 8 years ago, when I arrived here, I talked with the Sunday services team about having an annual memorial service. For who? They would ask. And I said, for everyone. A theme that we could have every year. And one of the things we started in 2017 as a part of that annual service was having the associates write short eulogies, like 90-second, 2 minutes, or so eulogies that would, or Lynn's is a little longer today, I guess, that helps us to remember someone that has died. Now, for the last several years, we have been doing them based on a musician or an artist or someone who has died in this past 12 months. And so it's a way to kind of bring those people up who have some kind of common awareness in our community, but the person who shares has maybe a particular passion or concern. Well, this year, in light of some of the themes of this service, we've decided to remember members of this community who have died, not just in this past year, but in years that have passed. We'll now begin our time of eulogies.
I remember Marion Dobbs, beginning when we both participated in a membership class led by Kathleen and Barry Leeson. Marion impressed me with the thoughtful questions he asked and by his humble and gentle personality. We both signed the membership book at similar times. Marion was what has been termed a super volunteer. He was always behind the scene, quietly completing the tasks that most of us don't think of. He was in the kitchen early before service, unloading the dishwashers. He came in during the end of the week to line up all the chairs in the sanctuary so that there was enough space. The first time he shared a reflection as a worship associate, I saw him visibly shaking, yet he'd volunteered and made it through. After service, as he was being complimented, Marion laughed and responded, "So you didn't see my knees knocking together, did you?" I always remember Marion through his nurturing and caring relationships with his great-nephews, Dallas Wilson and Tristan Reeves. Marion raised Dallas, and I remember how Marion's face lit up when he was talking about the story of bathing an infant Dallas in the kitchen sink. Marion was so proud of Dallas and of him earning good grades and the progress that Dallas made. Besides Dallas, Marion also brought another great nephew, Tristan, to do youth activities. Marion was considerate, kind, always willing to help. His humor and his laughter added life to this world.
I'm reading a piece written by Marcia Walker as part of the obituary that she wrote for Constance Seward. A lifetime devoted to protecting animals, a steadfast friend, a dependable volunteer, always willing to lend a helping hand. There are some of the attributes that come to mind when remembering Constance Seward, a UU who passed away in October of 2021 following a valiant battle with cancer. Animals were such a major part of Constance's life that her celebration of life was held at the Animal Care Services in Columbus. A memorial garden planted in her memory is also located at that facility, a testimony of her green thumb. She put that green thumb to use at UU. One of the ways she contributed to our church is helping maintain the flower beds. She could also be found helping with many of the activities here: the holiday market, coffee hour, the garage sale, pitch-ins, serving as a greeter, the 50th anniversary celebration, just to name a few. And one can't think of Constance without remembering her spicy side. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind. If she didn't like something, you knew it. She also had what one friend described as a wry sense of humor, which she intelligently applied to all sorts of situations. One of those situations was organizing a group of friends for tea or lunch. She called us the bitter old biddies. A reason our church has such a solid foundation today is because of what Constance and the members and friends like her did in the past, willing to roll up their sleeves and get to work. One of the best ways we can honor their legacy is to do the same. There is always a need for bitter old biddies.
World's best grandmother, social justice advocate, dedicated volunteer, Democrat, committee leader, wife, friend. All of these are titles that can be used to accurately describe Anne Herron, but none seem to really encapsulate who she was at her core. In simplest terms, Anne was a doer. Where Anne saw a need, she also saw an opportunity to help, and that is exactly what she did. Anne wasn't the type of person to just sit back and watch things happen. You might not have seen her working, as she was often behind the scenes, never helping for any type of recognition, simply working for the greater good. A woman who you could always count on, someone who felt like your best friend just 15 minutes after you met her. Anne was the living embodiment of genuine kindness and perseverance. She was never afraid to tackle the scary topics and stick up for the little guys. She poured out love with a side of courage. And she wasn't holding anything back just to make you comfortable when she needed to say her piece. When life brought her to UUCCI, she jumped in head first and with a smile on her face. We may not see her smile here in the sanctuary anymore, but we will always feel the legacy that she left behind. It is a legacy of compassion that we should all strive to live up to. Let's challenge ourselves to be doers like Anne every single day.
When me and my seminary cohort were in Chicago this past September, we were given access to the files that the UUA keeps on the congregations where we're individually serving. These are historical files that tell the story of the founding of every single UUA congregation in the U.S. and Canada. They're basic files. They're stuff like bylaws and when they settled a particular minister, founding documents, when they bought or sold a building, this type of thing. So the intention was to give us interns a clearer context about the congregations in which we'd be serving. So as I read our file, I came across all the numerous letters between our first founders and the UUA. These early letters were dated in 1961, 62, and there was this really bright, excited enthusiasm about the forming of a UU presence here in Columbus, people discovering each other as Unitarians. There were meeting minutes, descriptions of the meeting place, lists of participants, the first elected officers, that sort of thing. Now, two names stood out in these early letters, Ava and James Daly. Now, James was often mentioned sort of on the side. He was, but more as a formality. Ava, however, who was always going by Mrs. James Daly, as was common in the era, she was really the obvious driving force behind our founding. Ava Daly. So I'm reading these exciting founding letters, and I'm feeling like a researcher, a historian, and I'm getting kind of thrilled by seeing how our congregation got started. And then I came across this letter. It's very short. I'm going to read it to you. It's a very short paragraph. It was sent to the UUA by Irwin Union Bank and Trust Company of Columbus. Gentlemen, we've received a statement addressed to Mrs. James Daly, that's Ava, and thought you would want to know that Mr. and Mrs. Daly and their son Peter were killed in an automobile accident in July of this year. That's 1964. Our bank is serving as executive of their estates, and thus your communication came to our attention. Signed, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going through these documents and feeling all this excitement of the founding of this congregation, and the air just left me when I read that. I must have said something out loud because my teacher, my instructor, she came over, asked me what was going on. I told her what happened, showed her the letter, and she looked at me and like a true researcher said, just keep reading. So I went back to the file to find that after the Dailies died, our congregation apparently stopped communicating with the UUA for a while, probably out of shock. I'm guessing there were some reporting requirements for new fellowships that we must have missed, because a year or so later, there's a little note card in our file where the UUA officially considers the UU Fellowship of Columbus to be, quote, dead. Then, this goes on there's nothing for like 3 years. And then as I continue to read, in 1967, the name Bill Lyon surfaces on a new application to resume the fellowship that the Dailies had inspired. All the founding documents then repeat, and the remainder of our file has to do with stuff like the initial purchase of the first property, the sale of that building, the buying of this land and the building of this property, etc. So this is the story that leapt immediately into mind when Nick told me we'd be doing a memorial service. I thought of the enthusiasm of that founding. I thought of the brightness and energy and hopefulness in those first letters from Ava Daly to the UUA. Then I imagined the shock, the sad silence of no further correspondence. I imagined the heartbreaking grief that this community must have felt while walking through its first big loss. How hard that must have been to walk through, especially on the heels of such enthusiasm and hope. Then I started to understand something about the DNA of our community. I came to understand that the beating heart of this community was forged in the fires of love and hopefulness, loss and grief, and profound resilience. Many communities might have folded, never to resurface after such an early, shocking loss, but not this one. This community mourned its dead, dusted itself off, and came back together, recommitted to being what it is to this day, a community of hope and courage where we celebrate love and work for justice.
I knew and remember Mary Glasson, and I'm grateful to those who talked with me, sharing their memories of her. Mary was born in 1923 and died in 2020 at the age of 97. She was a dedicated and cheerful worker all her life. She loved gardening and was instrumental in starting the community garden project at the airport, which continues today. She helped to start the farmers market and to spearhead local recycling efforts. She supported the development of our memory walk. Mary was called the backbone of the local Democratic Party, holding meetings at her house. She and her sister Elsie received the Indiana Democrat of the Year award. Mary was also nominated for the Republic's Woman of the Year award by her family and friends. Mary was caring. On at least 3 occasions, she moved a hospital bed into her house to care for a neighbor or a family member. While Mary could give help, she could also accept it. When the flood of 2008 filled her home with water knee-deep, this congregation asked what help she needed. When Mary overheard her son turning help down, she had him call back and say they needed all the help that might be offered. We cleaned Mary's furniture in Lisette Miller's garage. After drywall replacement, 25 people showed up to paint. Mary was so grateful. She was no stranger to grief. Her 3 husbands predeceased her. One of her weddings, by the way, occurred in Nick's house
as it was a parsonage at the time. She also buried 3 of her 4 children. Mary loved this congregation. I remember her here every Sunday. Her obituary suggested memorial contributions be given to our hospice and UUCCI. Throughout her life, Mary Glasson said, "We do what we can." May we take her memory and that message to heart.
Elsie Weekly was 81 when she died in 1999. She was at the Four Seasons Healthcare Center at the time. She had been a long-time UU when I met her in 93. She was then the age that I am now. That is a trip. Elsie was an educator and had degrees from Indiana Central College, IU, and Purdue. She was a teacher, a guidance counselor, HR Director of Women at Ralston Purina in St. Louis. She later was Dean of Students at Hiram College in Ohio, at Elmira College in New York, and Dean on 2 California-based Chapman College World Campus Afloat programs. I also knew her as a member of Columbus Peace Fellowship. Elsie was steadfast in her commitment to this congregation and the purposes and principles of UUA. I knew her to always be involved in committee work and chores at the 8th Street building. She would show up and get right to work in any way she could. She had a sense of humor and the ability to ask the right questions. She is perhaps best known for schooling the UUs in the late 90s. I was president of the board at the time and had no knowledge of what was about to happen. A member, Steve Kennard, had designed and created an art piece which consisted of several varying length, 3-sided mirror pieces which were hung from the ceiling in the sanctuary. They were in front of a stained glass window with Christian imagery. A few members were involved in hanging the piece on a Saturday night. This included Mary Lou Orr, among others. It was intended for the mirrors to pick up the colors from the window and reflect them around the room, while blocking the biblical images. We all came to church on Sunday morning, were awed by the lovely piece. But Elsie was disturbed, not by the art installation, but by the process. She reminded us all that our fellowship was a democracy, and there had been no involvement by the congregation in creating and approving such. I called a special meeting to remedy the situation. We discussed the art and location and intention of the piece for quite a while until everyone, including Elsie, felt heard. Then we took a vote to keep it or take it down. We voted unanimously to keep it. Elsie was a disruptor and a guide. I doubt that anyone who was there at that time will ever forget it or forget Elsie Weekly.
I had the privilege of being a minister to 4 of the 5 people shared, 4 of the 7, I suppose, with the dailies, and Elsie having passed before I got here. And it was really important for me and for our team to have this time today to reflect on some folks who have been gone for a while and gone more recently. Some of you knew many of those people, or some, right? Most of us, some of us are newer though and didn't meet any of them. And I think this whole service sort of started coming together when I started thinking with folks about the power of our stories and to try not to forget them. But the truth is, and this is part of the title here, is that we do forget stories. And as much as we like to feel remembered forever, some of us are forgotten. But as Judson found, as we shared today, as you all have within you, those stories are never gone. They're never fully gone. They're somewhere. and we need to find them. And when we find them, we can dig them back up and dig them out and put them up and allow the light to reflect through them and into this community again, and find our resilience, find, even through grief, a source of love that we can celebrate, a commitment to justice that we can work for, and we can find our way forward. So as we look towards our 58th annual meeting, and as we look towards our 59th year as a congregation, I hope that we hold true to this perhaps sad, but I hope profound concept that sometimes things are forgotten, but that they're never really gone. May it be so, and amen.